Hey, good morning, everybody, and hello to everyone else around the world. Thank you for coming back to another broadcast over here at the Ellis Network. We're going to talk a little bit more about the things that we have been discussing for the last day, 2 days, and that's regarding North Korea and also the breaking story that happened yesterday with the gunman that ended at the school. In my last video that I did, it was breaking news about the gunshots heard at the school, the shooting at the school. And again, I said that there's a lot of misled information. A lot of information when the story's first breaking that's not true. And thank God that just proved a point. You know, when we all first heard about the story, we was thinking that someone was actually at the school shooting the school up. You know, like actually in the building shooting teachers and students. You know, whenever you hear school shooting, that's what we all thought. Again, as the story progressed, the day progressed, you know, the story changed a little bit. Thank God it wasn't directed at the school, but it still ended at a school. And we're going to get into that here in a minute. We're going to jump back to North Korea and all the updates there. And there's still not a whole lot of updates. Now, what we do know about the North Korean soldier, there's no new updates on him other than the fact that we know that he was shot 5 times. His comrades, North Korean soldiers, shot at him more than 40 times. He struck him 5 times. They removed five bullets from this individual, and he is still in critical condition. So it might actually be a few days, if not weeks, before this man's healthy enough. He's up, moving around, and he can actually tell us what happened, why he defected, and his mentality. Again, right now, all we can do is speculate. You know and we know what life is like in North Korea. We know what being a military member is possibly like inside North Korea, but as of right now, it's all speculation, and I'm gonna say that fairly. It's all speculation. Okay, but at the same time that we had this happen, we had the American trying to cross from South Korea over into North Korea, and I told you guys, I really wanted to know more about this. And there's still not a whole lot of evidence out, information out about the individual, but there is information out about him. And it's basically stating this is coming from CBS News. I can't find a whole lot of articles out on this guy. Like, I said it yesterday, it doesn't seem like no one cares about the American trying to go to North Korea. Um, no one's covering it. There's not a whole lot of information out there. I mean, honestly, if I could go to South Korea and talk to this guy, I would. But I'm small time. I'm here in Ohio, doing what I can do from my bedroom, my phone, my laptop. So I can only bring you guys what else is all being said. So South Korea is going to deport the U.S. man, the man from Louisiana. Um, they're going to deport him back to America. And this article still doesn't give a whole lot of information on the man. We still don't know his name. Um, the only reason why he's over there is because he wanted to go for political purposes, and that's what they're still saying. It's saying that South Korean soldiers caught the man, about 59, from Louisiana, entering a civilian-controlled area just south of the 2.5-mile wide demilitarized zone without a special government approval on Monday. The DMZ, created at the end of the 1950 to 1953 Korean War, served as a de facto border between the Koreas. And I've said this before, guys. That's how North Korea has their whole ideology about America being demons and killers and rapists and all that. It's because when we went over there in the Korean War, we took more of a South Korea's point, um, and the war was never over. It was just a peace treaty that was signed. The war was never declared ended. So with us you know, helping the South out, the North has really portrayed a picture of America being demons. We've seen the propaganda posters. If you guys remember Otto, the kid from Virginia, I believe it was just a couple months ago. where he was in that camp, hard labor camp over there, for ripping down American propaganda posters in a hotel. We've seen, if you guys watched any of their videos this year when they're doing all their marches and their not protesting, but their festivities, and talking about shooting off ICBM rockets, they have propaganda videos of them blowing up America and Statue of Liberty burning, and everyone's chanting, everyone's cheering. Like, that's the whole ideology that's being born into North Koreans. When you are born, you go to school, that's the very first thing you're taught, is who America is. You're not taught how to write your name or your ABCs. You're taught to hate Americans. So, that goes into the whole ideology and, where everything came up. It all goes back to that Korean War. But, this is what they're saying about the man. The man later told investigators that he believed his trip to North Korea would help resolve tensions in the Korean Peninsula, according to South Korea's military. Again, I said this earlier. What was he planning on doing? He's a no-name politician. And I say no-name because they're not putting his name out there. He's not even a politician. Excuse me for that. But he thinks that he could be the Superman, and resolve tensions. What was he going to do? Is he going to, again, I said this in my video, was he going to take some of that Southern cooking to Kim? We all know Kim likes to eat. I mean, he's starving his own people, but he ain't starving. So maybe this guy was making a shrimp gumbo with some Cajun in it. We don't know. But apparently he thought that he could do a better job than President Trump or Rex Tillerson or hell, even Jinping or President Moon. In their own region, he thought he can come over there and trump him. A local police agency which took custody of the man from the military said Wednesday it will send him to the immigration office for deportation. So today, he'd be on his way. The decision was made in line with the law that allows deportation of foreigners in case that they pose a threat to public interest and security, said an officer at the Gyeonggi Bagbu Provincial Police Agency. Again, I'm an American. This is Korean. I know I'm not saying the place right, so forgive me. Who requested anonymity, citing department rules. So I guess this individual asked to not be named. I don't know why. If you wanted to go over there and be the hero, why wouldn't you want it to be named? So this is pretty much just like the updated news that we have on the individual. Again, like I said, they're not saying much about this individual. However, did you guys know that this is pretty common for Americans to be trying to get into North Korea? I didn't know that until now. Like, I would have never thought. Americans have been occasionally arrested for entering North Korea illegally from China. Now, I get that. You cross into a country illegally. Americans, liberals, pay attention. You cross into another country illegally without proper documentation or paperwork, you're here illegal. That's where we're having the whole problem here in today's society, in America's society. We're forgetting the fact of the matter is being here illegally versus legal. I don't care if you're Spanish. I don't care if you're a Muslim. As long as if you're here legally, we can coexist. We can get along. But if you're over here illegally, you're already a criminal. You're already breaking the law. So it's no different than being a degenerate. Think about it. But a U.S. citizen trying to get in from South Korea is unusual. In 2014, another U.S. citizen was arrested by South Korean soldiers for allegedly trying to swim across the river to North Korea. South Korean media described him as a 29-year-old computer repairman from Texas who hoped to meet North Korean Kim Jong-un. 29-year-old computer repairman wanted to meet him. Why? Why would you want to do that, man? The same day the Louisiana man was arrested, Korean troops in the same western portion of the DMZ fired at a comrade who fled the south at a jointly controlled DMZ area. The soldier was in serious condition at the South Korean hospital on Wednesday following 2 rounds of surgery. So this guy's already went through 2 surgeries. They removed 5 bullets from what we know from the past, and he's still in critical condition. So again, it's probably going to be a while before we hear anything about that individual, especially we hear why he did it, what's his reasoning, is his family safe. We can only hope, but as of right now, guys, everything's just in speculation. The Korean Peninsula remains technically at war because the Korean War ended with an armistice, not a peace treaty. About 28,500 U.S. troops are stationed in South Korea to deter potential aggression from North Korea. Again, this all comes back to the Korean War. So that's pretty much the whole article. That's, again, from CBS News, and there's not a whole lot of news sources out there that's talking about this individual. So take it with a grain of salt from where it's coming from, but it's what's being talked about. I'll post a link in the article in the description for this. You guys can read it. So anyways, let's hop into Northern California. What we know is about, yesterday we broke the story about the school. Talking about that there was a shooting at a school. When it broke, everyone speculated that there was another school shooting. And, worst case scenarios started taking over in people's minds, people's thoughts. Now, as the day progressed, we learned the story. We learned that it didn't exactly happen at a school. It happened at a house nearby in the same region. Excuse me, I'm sorry. It's supposedly being called like a domestic dispute. And when I first read this last night, guys, I was trying to make a video last night about it, but by the time, I got my kids down to bed, I got all the information ready, and I was just waiting for my wife to get home. And she ended up having to work like a 12-hour day. So I was tired, guys. So anyways, which I'm glad I waited, because now, more information came out, which would have made the whole video yesterday irrelevant for what I was still waiting to hear about who the individual was. They were trying to keep it secret. Well, they finally let the identification out on this individual, the identity, and a little bit more of a motive. And I got two articles up. I'm going to, we're going to skim through them. We're going to see what coexists and try to find the difference as what one news article would say compared to another, and how there's false narratives being pushed out there. But they all pretty much line up and coexist with one another. So this is coming from Record Searchlight, part of the U.S. and Record Searchlight is part of the U.S. Today news network. So this one is coming up saying shooter identified as 44-year-old man who has had problems with neighbors. All right, and it's nice to read that, because I read earlier yesterday throughout my day when I was keeping an updated eye on this, that there was one article that I found, only one, that was talking about this man may have had a dispute with a neighbor. They talked to the neighbor and said that the neighbor and this gentleman have not gotten along. The neighbor said that this gentleman's gotten his hands on guns and has been shooting a lot of bullets in the backyard as of lately. And that kind of helped escalate the situation. Now, we don't know if this gun was purchased legally. I haven't found that out yet. I'm pretty sure the information's out there, guys. So if any of you guys know if this gun was purchased legally or illegally, please let me know in the comment section. That'd be greatly appreciated. That would probably help me out for an updated video later on, because there's something else that we're gonna talk about in this video that might shed some light onto it, if the gun was legal or illegal. And again, we'll get into that. Let's get into this. 5 people are dead, including a suspect, in a mass shooting at and around a school some 15 miles southwest of Red Bluff, where at least 10 other victims have been hospitalized. Some of them are children. Take it as is. Sheriff Phil Johnson, who called the incident a bizarre and murderous rampage, confirmed 2 children were shot and wounded in the shooting at Rancho Tenema subdivision. And again, I'm sorry if I'm saying that incorrectly. I probably am. but said children were not among the dead. Thank goodness. He said it appeared the motive for the shooting looks like a guy trying to get even with his neighbor. Now, we see this more and more and more every day. People's having problems, and let's take away for this. Children, innocent children are being drugged into adult problems. We see it more and more every day. Every day you guys wake up, especially in the 21st century and the way that society is, marriage doesn't mean a thing. And there's married couples out there that's getting divorced, that's using their children as pawns. Kids can't go to school safely, without having to feel the wrath of some sick, twisted individual that was upset at another adult. So, I mean, it's something that should have never happened. Thank goodness no kids were injured, but just imagine the mentality, the mental state of these children after this, witnessing something like this. They don't have to be shot and dead to suffer. So I don't know. I mean, I can only speculate. It's never happened to me. But my thoughts are with these guys. With the children, with the families, with everybody. This guy was on a killing rampage, he said. Johnson said one child was shot at the school while the second child was in a car with his mother at the gunman opened fire. Now, I read that yesterday as well, that there was a mother and a child that was in a truck and they got shot. And again, this one's coexisting with what I read yesterday. The child's wound was not life-threatening, but the mother's injuries are. So she took the brunt of the attack. She's one of the ones that's in critical condition. It's a very sad day for us, a deputy, visibly shaken, said earlier in the day. So, I mean, this community, I mean, it's shook up over this. Something that should have never happened. The gunman, identified as Sacramento Bee, a member of the Rancho Terma, as Kevin Jansen Neal, 44 years old, shot both inside and outside Rancho Tehama Elementary School. So, it started at home, it progressed to the school, and he was shooting inside the school and outside the school. Like, he lost it. He had like a Grand Theft Auto moment, I guess. I mean, I don't know. There was no reasoning for this. He just went off the deep end. But the story gets better. Just hold on. Just hold on. At least 3 weapons were used in the shooting, Johnson said. Johnson said there was another gun found in the pickup the shooter was driving. So we know that he was at home. Something happened at home. He got in his vehicle, drove. I don't know what made him decide to drive to the school. There's a supermarket. There's fast food joints. Why did this individual have to go to the school? Just proves the mentality of some of these people. The 10 shooting victims were taken to various hospitals around North State, 3 to Mercy Medical Center in Redding, 2 St. Elizabeth Community Hospitals. Hey, we have a St. Elizabeth here. 3 of them have been treated and released to Enalone Medical Center in Chico, I think. Employees at the hospital said one of the patients has since been transferred to UC Davis Medical Center, a spokesperson there said. So, the rampage began shortly after 8 a.m. near Bobcat and Fawn Lanes, where Neal shot 2 people dead and stole a car. So, no, the truck wasn't his. He stole the truck from the people that he shot, killed. He crashed the car and a man stopped to ask whether he was okay. Johnson said Neal shot at the man but didn't hit him. He did steal his vehicle. Okay, so he stole one car, crashed it. And, alright, so this man was just gone. A quarter of a mile away, heard gunshots and immediately went on lockdown. The school did. The school heard the gunshots from a quarter mile away and immediately went on lockdown. The school was the shooter's 3rd stop, and he became frustrated when he couldn't get into the school, Johnson said. So, can you imagine if this school did not go on lockdown? This could have been way worse. So, kudos to the school for hearing it and jumping to do what they did, putting it on lockdown. Good job for you guys. But I mean, like this, can you imagine if they didn't do the lockdown like this? It would have been devastating. Um, he was at the school for 6 minutes and drove off and continued to shoot people in various parts of the community, including at a pickup with a woman and 2 kids inside. The woman was seriously injured and one child received minor injuries. And this goes back to what we was talking about earlier. Law enforcement saw Neal shooting at a pickup and gave chase, ramming his vehicle, forcing it off the road, and 2 deputies killed him in a shootout. So the cops killed the gunman. So Johnson said the deputies who weren't injured found the gunman dead inside the car. They also found a semi-automatic rifle and 2 handguns they are used. A second long gun was also recovered. One of the long guns appeared to be an AR-15. Now I can guarantee you, gun rights, is going to be all over this. We're going to hear, oh, the AR-15's back in the news again. We could put on some of them fake attachments. The bayonet with the chainsaw. I'm pretty sure most of you guys have seen that rhetoric. And this goes into a little bit more about the suspect. Now, the exact motive may remain unclear, but the officials at the press conference said that he had history of problems with neighbors. Johnson said the suspect was also involved in a domestic violence situation Monday, a few months earlier, with a stabbing. So now we're starting to get an idea of the individual, and maybe he shouldn't have been out on the streets. I'm starting to see a trend here. Go back in my recent videos talking about Maryland. You guys remember Maryland shooting? That man had 43 arrests on his record with 15 felonies, countless misdemeanors, probation, house arrest, and he was still walking the streets. Still had guns. And no, he didn't purchase those guns legally. It's just as easy, if not easier, to obtain a firearm illegally than it is legally. We got to figure out a way to get the guns out of these people's hands. Alright? Don't be blaming the justice system, because buying these weapons, people that have motives are going to find the weapons one way or another, whether or not it's going to be legal or illegally. They're going to obtain them. So stop attacking people that go and do it the right way. Let's go back to the criminal aspect and go after the people that's doing everything illegally. Neal had been arrested in January for stabbing a woman and robbing another woman, both who had later got a restraining order against him. Johnson said that the woman Neal stabbed was killed in Tuesday's rampage. Neal was released on a $160,000 bail after that arrest. Prosecutors also alleged Neal fired a gun, possibly an AR-15 Bushmaster rifle, during the attack. According to count documents, the rifle was specifically mentioned as illegal and criminal compliant filed earlier this year. Okay, so that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I mean, again, this is something that should have never happened. This guy's a sick individual. They know he's had prior problems, but they still slapped him on the wrist and let him go. Now, there's a couple children's lives that are, destroyed over this. And I'm not talking physically. I'm talking about emotionally, mentally. These are children. They have to witness this kind of stuff. There's grown men that go to war and watch people get shot and die. And they have to come back and get counseling and shit like that and suffer PTSD. These are innocent children that have to witness this stuff. It's sad, guys. So anyways, there's one article. Actually, this article that I just read to you guys, again, Record Spotlight. I'm going to post 2 of them regarding this story so you guys can read it as well. I got to get going. I didn't realize I was spending so much time on this video. And one of these articles is from AGC.com. And it's talking a little bit more about the gunman, Kelvin. And goes on a little bit more in depth about the neighbor dispute. Supposedly, this neighbor, they were bickering back and forth. Kelvin supposedly was a pot farmer, and I believe he was cooking crystal meth, as they were stating. The mother and the sister of the individual come out and said that he is mentally unstable, mental health issues, and could be a reason for what all went down. But again, I'll post the articles in the description for this as well. But there's one thing that when I was looking through last night looking for information on this story, there's one story that stuck out to me. Have you guys ever looked for something for information or something or another, and you stumble across another thing that had no ties to it, but actually it's there? I come across this article, and it struck me a little odd as to why we're talking about this. And this is coming from Fresno Bee. And give me a second, I'm trying to... My computer is slow, guys. I'm trying to do good on YouTube, but I have outdated equipment, guys. I actually started a PayPal account, but I'm not gonna push that on this video. Not when there's children involved and people getting hurt. I'm not gonna try to profit off that. But anyways, I do take donations. Okay, so anyways, this one's coming from the Fresno Bee, and this talks about, could California law have prevented the Texas church massacre? Now, I'm sitting there trying to put the pieces together. What does California have to do with what happened in Texas? And quite frankly, I didn't really look into this article too much. Alright, again, I'm trying to evolve from that. We know it already happened. We already know the story. I don't know why we have to keep reliving it and making more conspiracy theories about it and whatnot. But there's one article, one paragraph in this article that I found quite factual evidence that we should talk about, or when we are going to be talking about, the Calvin and the shooting up Northern California took place. We can't forget about this piece of information, because if someone, especially if the law is going to come in and say one thing, or attorneys or something like that, don't forget about this being said, okay? The California Armed Prohibited Person System, also known as APPS, sends armed agents from the state's Department of Justice to localities in search of violators, in addition to those banned from owning guns because they are convicted of felonies and certain misdemeanors. And the agents may also target those who have been ordered to turn over weapons because they are subject to restraining orders. Now, we know that this guy had a restraining order against him due to that lady. So, I'm trying to find out again if anyone knows that these guns were obtained legally. Let me know, because how come these armed agents wasn't knocking on his door the day after? This is something that should have happened swift. We're paying millions and millions and millions of dollars into a system to keep people safe. But if this guy received a restraining order and he was proven to be unfit and he had guns obtained legally, they should have been there at this dude's door the day after, seizing his weapons. The system cross-referenced 5 databases to find people who have legally purchased handguns and registered assault rifles since 1996, with people banned from owning and possessing firearms. In 2015, the State Attorney General's office said that more than 2,000 weapons were seized under the program. The state estimates that there are more than 20,000 prohibited persons in California controlling more than 43,000 firearms. The system is funded by a $24 million surplus from funds paid during the firearm purchases. The part that the program is unpopular with gun rights groups, including Barry Bauer of Herb Bauer Sporting Goods in Fresno, who is part of a federal lawsuit challenging and funding the system. So, again, this guy had a restraining order. Obviously, he had other problems with the law. Robbing, stabbing. This could be major. If he had the guns purchased legally, then the APPS should have done already taken this individual's guns away. As soon as it goes into the system that he's committing crimes, that's, getting restraining orders, or stabbing people, with, felonies and all this other stuff. It should have already been put in the system and rushed back to the local law enforcement saying, go get this individual's firearms. Again, that all comes back to if the firearms were purchased legally. But if not, it just proves that it's just as easy being illegal and getting firearms off the street. So again, guys, there's pretty much the news article, just some food for thought for you guys. I'm going to be posting the links in the article in the description. You guys can click on and read them all in its entirety. I'll keep you guys updated with some of this as it comes out, and anything else that breaks throughout the day, or anything that I feel like should be important to talk about on my network. Again, guys, thank you for coming back, for supporting the channel. It's much appreciated. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the comments. I do enjoy reading your guys' comments, and I do enjoy conversating back with you guys on the comments. So again, keep it up, guys. I'll keep on keeping on. You guys keep on keeping on, and I don't know, maybe we'll make some sense of this crazy, crazy world we live in. But I doubt it, because if we did, then I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. So, later, guys.